When we talk about the ego in relationships, I think for a lot of people that are operating in relationships, a lot of the women, especially in our community, which I think we've actually talked about this before, because a lot of the women are doing a lot of spiritual development work, personal growth, and they're in relationships with men that maybe aren't doing that type of work. So how do your ego beliefs impact your relationships, especially if you're doing the work and the men are not?
This topic comes up a lot in my 4D university calls.
Is it mostly women, or what's the vibe?
Yeah, but not always, but it's definitely more women for sure. It's just such a hot topic.
I know.
And it's so relevant to any of us that are on a spiritual path. It's like, what greater catalyst is there than romantic relationships? So there's so much nuance to this, but my general advice to my students who are going through this problem of, I think it's a problem that every single one of us, every single person listening to this who is on a conscious spiritual path has already experienced this or will, which is just the outgrowing of relationships. Of course, you're going to outgrow relationships. How many people in your life are as interested in spiritual ascension as you are? Probably very few. So you should expect that you're going to outgrow certain relationships. And so to me, that's become way less of a big deal than it used to be, because it's like, yeah, no, this is good. Like, I should outgrow my relationships. Why not? But it's the way I deal with that outgrowing that makes all the difference. And so in a romantic setting, of course, it's a lot more prone to being messy and painful and convoluted. But I think, again, the general philosophy you should have in mind in a romantic relationship is, I'm not here to take love from this person. That's ego and will always lead to suffering. I want a partnership where I can truly give love to somebody and receive their freely given love. And so if you're in a relationship where your partner is trying to take love from you, if they're clingy, codependent, jealous, all of these things, then that's a super out of alignment relationship. So I don't need to know anything else to know that this relationship is not for me anymore. When you start living this stuff, it reorients your whole life and your priorities pretty quickly. You're like, no, giving and receiving is the only way I find happiness. And my goal in life is to always be in that state. And so if I can be in that state everywhere else, but every time I'm with my romantic partner, we're in this special relationship, taking love from each other, then it's going to feel really discongruent for you. And you're going to keep suffering until you finally break and leave the relationship. And so the big freaking challenge, as we both know, is like making that decision long before it gets to the point where it's so messy you just have to leave. We all struggle with that. It's super difficult because there's history there, there's sentimentality. You've been through a lot of life with this person, so it's so hard for the ego to break its attachments. But this is where the philosophy of giving and receiving really helps, because if you really do love this person and you want their best, you can see how if you're in a dysfunctional relationship, an abusive relationship, it is not loving to your partner to be their target board every day and perpetuate their narcissism or their abuse or their insecurity. And so the question we should all ask is my presence in their life perpetuating their issue? Am I giving them free opportunity to be more judgy, insecure, jealous, whatever? Then that's not loving. And I should want to leave this relationship for their own good and have that conversation with them, of course. I think you should always communicate these things. But yeah, you can't make somebody want to grow with you. And that's the tough part of being on a spiritual path in relationship, is that you got to take your time in finding the right partner. And even if you do find the right partner, you can't guarantee that you're not going to outgrow each other or just kind of go different directions later in life. So not having attachments to outcomes when you go into a relationship is how you set yourself up for success. I've made this mistake in every relationship I've had in my life, where I go into it with an outcome in mind of, this should be my person, we should be together forever. And you'd be shocked just how much conflict having that expectation will lead to.
I know.
Versus going in saying, look, I have no idea if this is my person.
True.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
This might not be my person. I'm going to find out.
I'm like, what Abraham Hicks says, I like you very much. Let's see how this goes.
Totally.
That's what she says. She's like, that's what we should all be doing. And that's where I realized I was in suffering, where at the beginning of dating, I would meet every man and I'd be like, are you my husband?
Yeah,
like, and then I'd start dating someone. I'd be like, are you going to be the person I'm with forever? Are you going to be the person I wake up with every single day? And I'm like, no, like that is just, I do think I'm grateful for having been divorced, because it does give me a different perspective where I think,
Same.
like I think if I wasn't, I would be way more interested in the attachment and way more in the belief of this has to be forever. Now I'm like, yeah, this will be a season. And, like I'm probably like a little like on the other side where I'm like, yeah, this will be a beautiful season of my life. Because I realize that it is more painful when because then I look at someone from the perception of a fear of, okay, if you're my person forever, then you have to be this certain way. And it actually keeps them in a way in which they can't evolve and grow into the person that they're meant to be, because I'm holding them to, you have to be the person that's good for me in this now moment, to be the person that I'm going to, and it's like not actually giving them the space of being a human, of like, this works for now. And then they can also grow into what could even be better for me in the relationship at the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, what you just said of, is this my person or whatever?
Yeah.
Like translate that to ego's language.
Giving, or this is receiving.
What you're saying is this my outcome?
That's a good one.
That's all it is.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so maybe we can...
And control a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But like that feeling of specialness of like, are you the one?
Yeah.
It means, are you the outcome?
Yeah.
Which means you're going to create all my suffering soon? Like that's literally what you're saying. Because attachments have to lead to suffering. And by the way, expectation is the subtlest form of attachment. Even to have an expectation of somebody is a form of attachment. So my students will ask things like, well, come on, Aaron, if somebody disrespects me verbally and I get upset, don't I have every right to be upset? It's like, well, yeah, of course. But the why are you upset is because you had an expectation. Nobody should ever talk to me XYZ way.
So true.
Even that's an attachment, right? You shouldn't have any attachment or expectation of how anybody should treat you. Why? Why do you need to?
Okay, what's a standard then? Like, what would be so women would be like, well, I have standards.
Yeah.
Is that expectation?
Yeah, the ego always tries to frame this as, so you're just saying I should be a doormat for everybody?
That's so true. The ego goes like to the opposite.
Yeah.
I'll notice that in conversations with like partners or something. It's like, oh, so you never want me to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let everybody
so I can never talk to another woman in my whole life?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, no, I want you to stop getting women's numbers at the bar.
I want you to literally stop cheating on me.
Yeah, no, honestly.
So on this note, I think the best place to go is when we're in a relationship with somebody that is not based in giving and receiving, it will continue to feel more out of alignment the more we want to be in a truly loving relationship. And so when we talk about boundaries, that word, I get what it means. I don't personally love the word, but you can use it loosely.
Yeah.
Because in a real sense, truth is your boundary, right?
Yeah.
The truth is what should be your boundary. And so when somebody violates what is true, which means what is loving, right? Then I should not have any interest in participating in that.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, if somebody's disrespectful to me, why should I get upset about that? That's a pure reflection of them and where they're at. I think I say this in the book, but it's something like, the way that other people treat me reveals their karma. The way I respond to how they treat me reveals my karma, right? So I shouldn't have any expectation that anyone should treat me a certain way, because I want everybody to be where they're at. Hey, if that guy's having a bad day, he should have a bad day. Like, who am I to say you should be nice to me when you're having a bad day? But do I want to be in an unloving relationship? No. So like, I'm going to, cut that person out of my life or whatever. Like there's going to be things you'll do just because it feels out of alignment. And so we're always loving, we're always kind. We never put anybody out of our heart. But I hope I can give somebody permission right now to know that you are under no obligation to have anybody in your life. You are not obligated to keep somebody in your life that's out of alignment, unless you're trying to help them or something, right? Then that's a different reason. But if it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or a boss, like it doesn't matter. If it's not a loving relationship, you shouldn't have an interest in being in it, right? And so you'll naturally withdraw from such people. And so there's no one right way that looks. if you're on a date with some guy and he says something rude, like you have every right to be like, oh, check, please. You know? But it definitely
I'll just start making jokes and then he'll say more. And then we'll be in this thing where he's just saying more and more and more. And I'm just making more and more jokes. And then I'm like, what am I doing?
Sounds like you've been on some dates before.
Oh my God. The way that, doubts protest too much. Like the way that men will just say, it's actually crazy. If people listen to people talk, you'll hear every single thing you need to know.
Yeah.
If you're a conscious person that's logged on for a conversation, everything that you need to know about that person will be said.
Oh, yeah.
Their priorities, their standards, their life, like it's like crazy. I think people just don't listen.
True.
Like,
well, see, silence is listening.
Yeah.
If you're waiting for the next thing to say on a date, then you're going to be missing all the important information that this person's ego is giving to you, right?
Yes. I'm listening intently. I'm like, there's this guy, he's like, you're like a 10. And he didn't mean like a 10 out of 10. He's like, you're like a 10. Like, you're really like got a lot of energy and questions. I was like, I'm fully logged on for this conversation.
Like, I'm trying to not waste my life.
No,
actually.
honestly, he's like, I'm a 7. You should be a 7. I was like, that's your preference. I was like, that's not my preference. I'm preference to be a 10.
You should be like me is the most ego thing ever.
I know, honestly. It's so true. But then I said it back to him. I was like, you should be like me. Our egos were like, we should be like each other. I just want to underline, double click the one part that was profound for me that we said a little bit more just because I think this is applicable for a lot of women. So I just want to slow it down to expand it on women in dating that go into dating situations with the node of, are you my husband? Are you my person? Is this the one? And how that is the ego in a lot of ways. And then how that leads to attachment, because then will you say why does that lead to suffering? Why does that belief lead to suffering?
The attachment to, is this my person or whatever? Because no form can satisfy you. It's impossible. No person can satisfy you. It does not matter. I just watched an interview with a billionaire the other day who was talking about this, where they were like, I'm significantly more unhappy now than when I was like a young 20-year-old upstart, poor, living with my mom. Like, I was happier then in my life than I am now.
Tale as old as time.
Exactly. So don't fall for that. It's the greatest ego illusion that something, some outcome can make me happy. I spend 2 whole chapters dealing with this in the book for this reason, because attachment is just like, it's the stickiest part of ego that just gets all of us. Because it's not wrong to want anything. You absolutely have the right to want anything. You should want a beautiful, fulfilling, romantic relationship. You should want it all. But want it for the essence, not the form, right? Don't imagine yourself with, the dreamiest guy or girl who's going to make you look so good or whatever. That's vanity. It will always fail you. Dream of an amazing connection, right? Dream of sharing your soul, your life with somebody who's on the same frequency as you, and all the beautiful experiences of life and God and love that you can have together. That's a divine desire. And I think it's the 6th chapter in the book. I have a little section on divine desires. It's like God is desire. All desire comes from God. But ego, being the great hijacker, grabs onto our divine desires and misdirects them to a form of some sort. And that's where we go wrong. So the desire is never wrong. There's always a pure, innocent essence, right, behind everything, because everyone's desire is to be happy. So as weird and like sort of megalomaniacal as this may sound, even a murderer has an innocent, good desire at the very core of what they're doing. It's just wrapped over so much suffering and delusion and confusion, right? But ultimately, they just want to be happy. And they've gone down a path where the ego has continually distorted their thinking and upped the ante until they're at the point of like killing somebody, right? But if you trace it all the way back, there's just a little child inside of everybody that's like, I just want to be happy. And so we got to get really serious on, okay, then what really gives true happiness? And if we know what it is, then we should be very committed to watching our mind through the day, because as you've said earlier, like ego is unbelievably crafty. It's exceptionally good at pretending to be you, and it knows how to put everything into your voice. It whispers thoughts to you as if they're your own. And so unless you have that inner litmus test of, is this based on giving and receiving or taking and keeping, then it's going to control you pretty easily. And so that for me has been like the guiding compass of my life is this giving and receiving, or is this taking and keeping? And when I ask that question, I've never had more than a second to get the right answer.
in A Course in Miracles, it says, an untrained mind can accomplish nothing.
Yeah, such a good quote.
That's such a good one.
It's
so good.
Such a bar.
Such a bar. It's just, what's so interesting is actually I was thinking about Danielle, our friend Danielle Laporte, Desire Map, and how Desire Map actually kind of has this frame of, sort of the frame before was like, what are the goals that you have? Say it's to run a marathon. You're actually not doing the goal to run the marathon. You're doing the goal to feel empowered or feel,
right.
So it's like actually going to not the thing, but the feeling.
Yeah.
And how it's like our desires are the feeling and
exactly
sort of that
right.
instead of the ego, which is very, very interesting. So it's kind of an interesting thing that I was connecting.